Hi guys, Stasi here. Today I'm going to be putting an Arcus bumper on my Jeep Gladiator that's made by Rugged Ridge, and also we'll be installing a Apex Badlands 12,000 pound winch that uses a synthetic rope. So I'm hoping that you like this video. If you also would like to buy one of these bumpers, I highly recommend offroadsource.com. That's offroad-source.com. I worked with Austin there and he was fantastic. Great customer service, very informative, very communicative. So if you're looking for a bumper, a winch, exhaust, intake, suspension, whatever you might want for your Jeep Wrangler or Gladiator, those are the guys to talk to. So with that, we'll proceed on and I'll show you what we're going to be installing, and then we'll go into the video of actually putting it onto the vehicle. Okay guys, so here's what we're going to be installing. Like I said before, there's the Apex Badlands winch, the 12,000 pound with the synthetic rope, and then the Rugged Ridge Arcus bumper kit with the overrider bar. Here it's got the winch plate, and then we got the fog light brackets, fog light adapters. These are the brackets that the overrider plate goes on. Then we have these here, which are the backing plates that the screws will go through the bumper, the winch plate, and go into the frame of the vehicle. The recovery hooks. And Rugged Ridge was so nice that not only did they send one set of instructions, but 3 of them, just in case you're that kind of person that loses them or doesn't like to read instructions. I think they're highly recommending you read them. Even though they're pretty simple, it's more or less take your old bumper off, put the new one on. You'll forgive me today, it's cold as heck over here in Michigan. It's a lovely 29 degrees and snowing. So I'd have to dress up a little bit more here in the garage. We've got a couple heaters going, but hopefully it won't be too bad and it should be relatively easy. So here's it's a 2021 Jeep Gladiator wheelies. So we're going to be taking the stock bumper off. The only thing that we need from the stock bumper really is the harness that runs inside this outer casing, and there's an inner casing. So once we get the bumper off, we'll have to separate the two and take the harness out, because you need that if you're going to run your stock fog lights or any other fog lights for that matter, and want to use the factory fog light switch and wiring that's in the vehicle. Okay, so the tools that we're going to use here, we have a 3/8 inch ratchet with a T50 bit, which you will need to put the fasteners that hold the bumper assembly to the frame. It's got some extensions, some dikes there, wire cutters and pliers in case I need those, and then one of these pry tools for taking the plastic clips off the bumper and also off the skid guard that's underneath the bumper. And then I believe it's a 16 millimeter socket that you need to take the nuts off the inside of the stock bumper. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove the stock grill. It's not necessary, but because I'm going to be putting a winch in and I'm going to have to route the power cables up to the battery, I'm going to remove that. Also, it's going to help prevent any scratches or anything that might happen while I'm installing the winch. And to do this, if you haven't done it before, there's these push clips here. There's 6 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips here. So once you pull those out, you pop them out, you can just lift the bumper right out. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so we're going to remove the stock grill right now. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these 6 clips that I showed you previously, and then we'll lift the front grill out and set it aside. So we removed those clips. So now it's just a matter of pulling this grill a little bit forward like that. And once you've got a little bit forward, you can just lift it out. It's got some clips down the bottom here. There you go. And there we go. So yeah, there's these spring clips at the bottom that click into the radiator bracket down here. So you just have to pull those out a little bit. And once you've done that, it comes out pretty easily. So we'll set this aside. So now that we've removed the grill, there's this splash guard here that has to come out. And again, it's got these push clips. There's 2 of them here that you can see pretty easily. And then there's 6 more that are up against the bumper here. So these have to come out as well. So we'll pull those out next. So now you can just lift out this little plastic piece. We'll set it aside. You won't be reusing this again with a bumper, but if you ever want to go back to stock or you're going to sell your bumper to someone else, they would probably want this piece. So you want to keep that. All right, so now we're going to take off this skid guard slash wind dam. It's plastic on the sports, the wheelies, things like that, the overland. So it'll differ for other versions of the Gladiator, but basically on this version, there's 2 of these 8mm bolts that are up in here. And then there's a similar type of clip in here. They're a little bit easier to get. You have to pop out this center section. These ones here are recessed. So for that, I'm gonna use a pick like this to get behind it and pull it down. So we'll do that now. All right, so this should come out now. I think I've got it on. There we go. All right, so we got that piece out. So with that, now we have access to the bolts that are going to hold the stock bumper on. So you can see there's, I don't know if you can see it very well, but up in here, there's the bolts that come through on the stock bumper that are held on by nuts. So we're going to have to undo those. The other thing we're obviously going to have to do is there's the wiring harness that is connected to the fog lights, and it has a single connector that's right here. So if we undo that, we can take the whole bumper off and then mess with it. I know some other people in the past like to start unplugging the stock fog lights here while it's on, but I'd rather not do that while I'm on my back. So what we're going to do now is take those bolts off. We also have to remove these bolts here. There's one on either side here, on both sides, so we're gonna have to take those out. Okay, so the other thing that we're probably gonna have to need to do is down under here, there's another protective plate that's held on by, looks like 16mm bolts here. If we remove that, we're gonna have better access to get tools up in the back here to take the bolts that hold the bumper on. So we're gonna remove those as well. Bumper should just lift off now, slide out. What are you doing? There you go. Okay, so bumper is off. There we go. So we've got the bumper off now. So these are the covers that cover the fog light area. We'll have to take those off so we can disconnect the fog lights. And then there's an outer shell and this inner shell that the harness basically runs to this fog light. Then there's a wire that goes across and runs to this one. So we have to take that out. So we'll start by taking out our fun little pop clips here. So there's these screws, and then under that plate there's a few more, and then some around here. So we'll take them all out. Whoop. There we go. Guess trying to do both at the same time doesn't really work. Get up over this lip here. There we go. Bloody hell. Okay. So, here's the ugly bumper reinforcement. And here's the wire that we need to take out. Alright, so we've got more of these clips here. Now, it's up to you if you want to keep these clips on. I don't think they're going to be reusable because there's nothing to hook them to. But let's see, either to go this way, if this part fits. Which it does. Alright, so that's it. Now, if you're going to reuse the fog lights, I'm going to put some LED ones in myself, but you'll have to unscrew these here and take this whole thing, and then basically those will attach to these brackets here. So there's the 4 bolts here that correspond to the 4 bolts that are here. So you can just put those back in there and then mount the factory fog lights back to the Arcus bumper. Okay, so I got the winch plate placed in here. I had to use a rubber mallet to tap it down because it's snug in here, which is not horrible. It fits pretty good. Just be careful, this is pretty heavy. And then I reused 2 of the 16mm bolts that we took out earlier, and I've got them in there. Okay, so I've got the backing plates here, 2 of the bolts and 2 of the washers. So I'm just going to put one of them on each side in here. We need the T55 and the appropriate ratchet, which is up here. So it's pretty secure for what we need to do. So we'll get the winch unboxed, set it in there, and tighten that down, and then we'll stuff the wires up through here somewhere and route it close to the battery. All right, so I'm going to connect the main ground and that little black wire to the negative terminal on the winch. All right, so we're going to set the winch in here now. Cables are dangling. Okay, so now I'm going to put the brackets for the overrider. They have a flat section here that faces forward, goes here. So we are going to reuse the 16mm bolts that we took out earlier. Okay, so I guess there should be enough room to get a wrench in there, because I thought the brackets would sit in real into here, but they're up high. It hopefully should have enough room to get your fingers in there and hopefully squeeze in a wrench. Doesn't help when you have big hands, but we'll make it work. So next part, obviously, we're going to have to put the hooks on and then the bumper cover over. And I mean, we're getting close to the end here. We'll have to run the wires up, connect that to the power, which shouldn't be too hard. So that's what we're going to do next. We'll have to take these bolts out that I put in earlier for these plates, What I'm going to do though is I will tighten these nuts down now that I have it in position, because I don't want this to move at all, and I know that the bolts are going to pass through. It looks all good there, so we'll do that, and then from there we're going to be on the home stretch. Okay, so we have the fog lights here. They come with adapters, so depending on what you have, a JL, a Gladiator, and what trim level, they have different plugs. In my case, I had to use these adapters that they gave me. They go into the stock harness, and then these will plug into these plugs that are on the fog lights themselves. They also come with two different types of brackets. So I think these 3-bolt ones are common on JLs. Now my truck had the 4 bolts, and also these 4-bolt brackets will fit right up with these backing plates that are also the fog light holders for the bumper. So what I'm going to do is take these off and put those ones on instead. Now to do that, you have to remove the adjustment screw, because it's kind of captured in here in the little fog light bucket. So I've taken the first one out. Once you do that, you just have to pop up on these things to get them over, right? And out they come. So that one's off. So we have the fog light here. This one was, let's see. So this one's the right hand. This is the left hand. Looks like cable on top. And then so the adjustment will be on the bottom. It says JL actually here. What do these actually say on them? Doesn't say anything. But okay, so we know these are going to fit with the brackets. So that's what I'm going to do. Rather than use the adapter brackets, it's just adding more crap to the mix. So we'll put these back on. So it's there. You can see this allows it to pivot. So now we have to just put in the adjustment spring and screw. Hopefully I can do it without shooting things across the room. Okay, so now we've got to put the recovery hooks and the cover plate over the bumper. What I've seen some people do is, because these recovery hooks are ridiculously heavy, is to zip tie through the top hole and through the side of the opening where the fog light comes, to kind of help keep close to where it needs to be. Let's put these under here. The bolts ready, plates. So these plates have a cutout. There's a dimple back here in the plate. That's part of the frame, so they have to go in like that. All right, so we'll get a bolt ready. And we've got the fair lead and the cable going through it. So then we'll get this up here. So it looks like it's pretty snug up against here, but it's coming over the top, so I'm not too worried about it. So now we will put the fog lights in and the outer bolts. Okay, so I backed these bolts off a little bit because I had them just a little too tight and I couldn't pull the zip ties out. So it's kind of loose, just snug, but enough room where I could pull the zip ties out. So now what I need to do is put the fog lights in, because they have the backing brackets. So these bars here on the fog light brackets are on the top, according to the diagram from the instructions. So we put this up in here, take a bolt, That's gonna be fun. Oh boy. I think the easiest thing for me to do is, rather than take all of this crap off, I'm going to loosen these bolts here for the control box. That should let it move forward enough to get the grill on, because then it's loose and then I can go from there. It's just 4 bolts, so that's what I'm going to do before we go any further. All right, so figured out you can't put your grill back on with the Badlands winch there because it's just way too close to where the grill's going to sit. So you need to undo these 4 Allen screws here, and then there's 2 more Torx bits here. These are T20s. Once that comes off, you're still not there because all of this is connected to this bus bar. So you have to undo these 3 bolts and then loosen the outer 2 because the bolts are like on an angle and you can't slide it off. So once you do that, you can move this out of the way. And now we should be able to put the grill back in. Live and learn. Okay, so I'm gonna get down to where that steel, the cable here is a little snug, but so close. Let's get my headlamp on so I can see where I need to be. Okay, over. All right, so there's an in. This one does not want to go in its place. There we go. All right, good to go. Holy moly. Really don't want to have to cut the grill. But this power cable is like right there. As I've seen some other guys on the Gladiator forum have moved this cable to come out the side, and that might be something that I have to do here because it's, the problem is it's just so close to that grill. Okay guys, so here's what I had to do. I had to remove the control box and take it apart, and then once inside you got to unscrew this positive lead that goes in, and it's connected to a terminal there that's feeding the control box. And as you can see, I had to drill a hole over here on the side and then reroute that cable from this back area into the side here. In retrospect, I should have probably put that hole a little bit further back. So if you're looking at this, don't put it in the middle. Even though the stud is in the middle, it has like a weird connector, and it would be easier for you if you just put it right here on the side. All I used was a unibit, one of these. It's aluminum, so I just drew it, went in really easy. So we got that bad boy in there now. You have to leave the box off to put your grill on, right? Once you put the grill on, then you put the box back, and you have to screw all this. There's 3 bus bars in there, and you got to unbolt them from the motor and loosen the outer 2 so that they can move a little bit, and then you can pull it off. Once you get inside this box, it's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle trying to get it back in, but just make sure you put it back how you found it. One thing I did is I had it all back together, and of course I wanted to make sure that before I bolted everything back down, it was working. I found that the wireless wouldn't work because I checked it before I did all this to make sure that everything worked before I put this damn thing on. And then I found that if I plugged the wired cable in, it worked fine. So I was like, what the heck? So I took it apart, and over here on this switch that you select, you turn it on for if you want to do wireless, or off if you want to run with a wired. One of the little electrical connectors, when I was putting it back together, had pulled off, so I had to put it back on. It was just like one of those little terminal connectors. So yeah, so we'll hold this down till red light comes on, and now if we, there you go, comes out, and then, there you go. All right, we'll just cinch it up there, and it's pretty snug. So that worked out pretty good. The only thing really left is to put the overrider bar through this here with the nuts and wrench. I should be able to get it done, so that's what I'm going to do now. But yeah, I didn't show all of this on video because it was pretty complicated. There was a lot of choice swear words, and yeah, but basically, because of, you can see here the gap, there's just the stock cable, cable routing is right here. You couldn't get the grill and all that on there. With this particular bumper setup, there's just not enough room, so that's why I did this here. It should be fine, so I don't think there'll be any problems. So I'm just gonna set up for the last step, and then we can go from there. Final stretch, basically everything's done. Wired in the fog lights, check them, they work. One thing you want to check with these fog lights that you might buy, I'll put the link for them in the description. With LEDs, you have to have a polarity that's positive on the right side, otherwise it won't work. So when I first turned them on, one of them was working, the other one wasn't, so I just unclipped it and flipped it. So the way the plugs are made, you can actually flip the plugs. So just if you see that one's not working or they're both not working, try flipping the plugs and it should be good. So now we're going to put the overrider on. So this should be fun. Not a lot of room to work with in here. I'm hoping I can snug up the bolts as best as I can by hand, so I don't have to do a lot of wrenching underneath there. So I just put these rubber pads on, and then let's go on here. This one here, I'm gonna have to, there we go. And there's a washer and a nut. Of course there has to be a washer. So I'm getting like maybe a 16th of a turn, and then when I come back I just flip the wrench so that I can get it back on again. I'm not sure if people know about that with the offset wrenches like that. Typically when you tighten up a nut and you get as far as you can, and you take it off and you want to go back to where you started, if you flip it, it should go boom, right on. So otherwise if I just try and put it back on again back here, see, I lose it. So flip it, there you go. This one's going to be a bit trickier. I guess what I can do is you can actually pull this out from here, which would make my life easier, give me room for the wrench. Okay, there we go. Screw is out. Now this should just lift out, apparently. There we go. All right, it's out. Set that to the side there. All right, that's good. Not sure what this is gonna stop. Maybe a small deer. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we'll never have to find out. But that's it. The only thing I need to do is underneath here is those side bolts for those brackets just need to be tightened. So let's use the wrench again. So the thing we're going to do is tighten those bolts in the bottom, and we are done, ladies and gentlemen. Can't have a sexy bumper like that without some shackles. Fire up the wireless controller. Is it set to wireless? Nope, now it is. And then we'll go in. There we go. Good. Woo! Well, thanks for being here and watching. Hopefully I didn't bore the hell out of you. A lot of little tips and tricks there that I hope you picked up on. This one was the biggest. But I think it turned out pretty good. I really like the way it looks. It's kind of got that factory look to it rather than some of these other bumpers that look like either a child drew them or they should be attached to the new Tesla Cybertruck. They're just way too edgy and not my deal. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll have some more videos for you in the future there. Thanks, bye.